In this video, we are going to do a quick review over how to multiply and divide fractions. So the first three we'll do will be multiplication, and then the next three we do will be division. So for the first one, we're going to be multiplying. There's two different ways you can approach this problem. So you can multiply just straight across and then reduce, or you can cross reduce. So the first one I'm going to do, we're just going to multiply straight across. So in this case, you would multiply numerator times numerator, so 3 times 1 is 3, and then denominator times denominator, so 4 times 8 is 32. And then you would try to reduce the fraction. 3 and 32 do not have any common factors, so that would be your answer, 3 over 32. In number 2, I'm going to show you how to reduce the fractions before you multiply. So you could do the same tactic and just multiply straight across and then reduce at the end, but it's sometimes easier to reduce as you go. If you look, you can reduce any numerator with any denominator. So if you think about 14, you could rewrite 14 as 2 times 7. Now you can see that you have a 7 on the top and a 7 on the bottom, so those will cancel out. Remember that when they cancel out, it leaves a 1 in its place. So in the numerator, you have a 2 times 3, so that's 6. And in the denominator, you have a 5 times 1, so that's 5. If you reduce before you multiply, then at the end, you shouldn't have to reduce. So 6/5 is in lowest terms. Just so you can see the other way to do it, you do 14 over 5 times 3 over 7. You would just multiply straight across. So this would be 42 over 35. And then you would have to figure out what you could divide both 42 and 35 by. So hopefully you would eventually see that you could divide them both by 7, and then that would give you 6 over 5, so you'd get the same thing in the end. But I really think it's easier to cross-reduce, and so that's how I will generally show you multiplying fractions. It's also helpful when you get to rational expressions to be able to simplify in that way. Okay, let's look at number 3. Let's see, only 6 problems, yeah. So number 3. Before I multiply straight across, I want to actually rewrite things so that I can cross out common factors. So the 15 and the 10, I can see that they're both divisible by 5. So I can rewrite 15 as 3 times 5, and I can rewrite 10 as 2 times 5. The reason I want to do that is because I can then see that the 5s are a common factor and they will cancel out. So those are gone. I can do something similar with the 4 and the 16. So the 16, if I rewrote that as 4 times 4, I could now cross out a 4 with a 4 in the numerator. I've now crossed out all my like terms, so I'm going to multiply through by what's left. In the numerator, it's just a 3. And in the denominator, it's 4 and a 2, so 4 times 2 is 8. 3 and 8 do not have any common factors, so 3/8 would be my fraction in lowest terms. Okay, so number 4, the key here is to remember that when you're dividing fractions, you can change it to multiplication and flip the second fraction. So people have different acronyms to remember. I've heard KFC, keep, flip, change, and so it means keep the first fraction, flip the second fraction, and change to multiplication. So that would be keep the 3/8, flip the 6/7, so now it's 7/6, and change division to multiplication. And then once you do that, you're going to try to cross reduce. So the 3 and the 6, I could rewrite 6 as 2 times 3, because then the 3's will cancel out. And there's nothing else I could do here. So in the numerator, I'm going to have 7. And in the denominator, I have 8 times 2, which is 16. So 7 over 16 is my fraction in lowest terms. Number 5, first thing I'm going to do is adjust this division to multiplication. So keep the first fraction, change to multiplication, flip the second fraction. So 25 will go into 125 evenly. So that will be 5 times 25. So 25s cancel out. I don't know about 42 and 160. So all I'm going to do is, let's just try 2. They're both even. So 42 divided by 2 is 21. So I could rewrite it as 2 times 21. And then 160 divided by 2 is 80. So I could rewrite this as 2 times 80. And now the 2's cancel out. So that's helpful. Okay, so it's getting kind of messy. So let's rewrite what I have. I have 5 over 80 times 21 over 1. 5 and 80 can also reduce. 80 is divisible by 5. So 80 is 5 times 16. So the 5's will cancel. And now I have 21 over 16. 21 is 3 times 7. And 16 is just going to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. They don't have any common factors, so this is it. Okay, the last one, we have 1/2 divided by 3. Remember, if you have a whole number like 3, you can write it as a fraction by simply putting it over a 1, because 3 divided by 1 is still just 3. So now that I have it written like that, I'm going to keep flip change. So keep the first fraction, flip the second, change to multiply. Since both of my numerators are 1, there's nothing here that I can reduce. So it's going to just be 1 over 6.